Once upon a time, there was a wealthy merchant who had 3 daughters. 2 of his daughters were extremely selfish, but the third one, named Beauty, was both kind and loving. One day, the merchant received terrible news that his ships had been lost in a violent storm. The poor man lost everything he owned, except for a small house in the town. The 2 greedy sisters were very unhappy with this situation. They did nothing but lie in bed and complain. All the housework fell to Beauty. After some time, the merchant heard that one of his lost ships had reached the port. Before setting off to find out if the news was true, he asked his daughters what gifts they would like him to bring back. The greedy sisters immediately became excited. "We want dresses and jewelry," they said. "What about you, Beauty?" asked the merchant. "A rose. That would be enough for me," said Beauty. A few days later, the merchant set out for home, disappointed once more. He was still poor because he had been cheated out of the money from his last ship. As evening fell, he reached a forest. The forest was dark and cold. Lightning flashed. The wind blew the snow into the air. In the distance, he could hear wolves howling. The merchant struggled through the snow with his horse for hours, not knowing where he was going until he suddenly saw a beautiful castle with bright lights shining from its windows. But this was a very strange castle because, despite the roaring fires in the hearths and all the rooms being brightly lit, there was no one in sight. The merchant called out, but no one answered. Finally, realizing there was no point in waiting, he tied his horse in the stable and ate the meal laid out on a long table in the hall. Then he went to bed and slept. In the morning, he found new clothes laid out for him. Downstairs, a lovely breakfast was waiting for him. "This castle must belong to a kind-hearted fairy who took pity on me," said the merchant. "I wish I could thank her." As the merchant was leaving the castle, he noticed the roses in the garden. "At least I can keep my promise to Beauty," he thought. He picked a rose, but as soon as he did, a terrible roar filled the air. From behind the bushes emerged a fearsome beast. It was so terrifying that the merchant nearly fainted from fear. "You ungrateful man," roared the beast. "I saved your life. I fed you, I clothed you, and now you steal my beautiful roses. You deserve to die at once." The merchant fell to his knees before the beast. "I was taking the rose to one of my daughters, sir," he said. "I am no sir, I am a beast," growled the creature. Then it loomed over the merchant. "As for your precious daughters, go, ask them if any one of them will come and live with me in exchange for your life. If no one agrees, you will die in 3 months." The merchant, disheartened, rode home through the sunlit forest. At home, the 2 selfish sisters did not lift a finger as they listened to their father's terrifying adventure. They were furious that he had not brought them clothes and jewelry, but Beauty did not behave like them. "Father, let me go," she said without hesitation. "Of course you should go. It's your fault," said her sisters. "If you hadn't insisted on having a rose, the beast wouldn't have thought of killing our father." After 3 months, the merchant went to the castle with Beauty. Everything was just as he had seen it the first time. There was still no one around, and the table was set. After finishing their meal, the beast appeared. Beauty started trembling with fear because the beast was even more terrifying than her father had described. "Did you come here willingly?" asked the beast. "Yes," said Beauty. "Then your father will leave in the morning and never return." When morning came and her father left, Beauty was left alone. At first, she cried for a while, but then she remembered the dream she had and felt a bit more at ease. In her dream, a fairy said to her, "Do not grieve. Your courage in saving your father's life will not go unrewarded." "Maybe I can get used to this life," she thought, feeling slightly better. She walked in the garden, and looking at the roses made her sad. Then she explored the castle. She was amazed to see her name written on the door of one of the rooms. When she opened the door and looked inside, she saw that the room was decorated exactly as she liked, filled with books and musical instruments. "The beast must want me to be comfortable here, so he probably won't harm me," thought Beauty. Then she picked up a book. On its cover, written in gold, were the words, "Dear Queen, your wish is my command." "I wish I could see my father right now," said Beauty aloud. As soon as she said this, her father's image appeared in the mirror at the other end of the room. Thus, Beauty's sense of loneliness and homesickness lessened a bit. That night, during dinner, the Beast appeared. "May I watch you dine, Beauty?" he asked. "You are the master here," said Beauty. "No," said the Beast. "The castle is yours to command. If you wish, I will leave immediately." The Beast hesitated for a moment. "But tell me, do you find me very ugly?" Beauty didn't know what to say at first. Then she looked up at the Beast. "I wouldn't want to say this, but I must be honest. Yes, I find you ugly," she said. After Beauty finished her meal, the Beast asked, "Will you marry me?" "No, Beast, never," said Beauty. The Beast's deep sigh echoed throughout the castle. Every night at 9, the Beast came to talk to Beauty. Beauty found that as time went on, she was getting used to the Beast. She even worried when he was late. "I wish," she said, "that he wasn't so ugly, and I wish he would stop asking me to marry him." For Beauty was very frightened by the sound the Beast made when she refused his marriage proposal. One day the Beast said, "You may not love me, but you must promise not to leave me." So, for 3 months, each day was very much the same. Then one day Beauty saw in the mirror that her father was ill. She immediately told the Beast she wanted to go home to care for her father. "You may go, Beauty," said the Beast, "but if you do not return, I will die of grief. I fear you will stay with your father and never return. But if you decide to come back, just place your ring on the bedside table. When you wake up in the morning, you will be in my castle." "I promise to return in a week," said Beauty. The next morning, Beauty woke up in her bed at her father's house. Her father was overjoyed to see her and felt better immediately. That afternoon, her sisters, who had recently married, came to visit. They were green with envy and rage to see their beloved sister there. "Listen," said one of the sisters, "let's play a trick on her. Let's keep her here for another week. Then the Beast will come and kill her." Instead of shouting and criticizing her, the two sisters rubbed onions in their eyes and faced Beauty with teary eyes, claiming they didn't want to be separated from her. Beauty promised to stay for another week. Before long, Beauty realized she missed the Beast as much as she had missed her father. One day, she had a dream where she saw the Beast lying lifeless in the castle garden. When she woke up, she thought, "What I did was truly heartless." She immediately took the ring off her finger and placed it on the bedside table. In the morning, she woke up in the Beast's castle. That evening, Beauty waited for the Beast. It was 9 o'clock, but the Beast did not come. At 9:15, there was still no sign of him. Suddenly, filled with worry, she ran out of the castle and into the garden. There, she found the Beast lying on the ground. "I have caused his death," thought Beauty. She immediately hugged him. The Beast's heart was still beating. "I thought you would never return. I starved myself to death preparing to die," said the Beast in a faint voice. "But I love you, Beast," said Beauty. "I want to marry you." At that moment, something strange happened. Suddenly it seemed as if the castle became more beautiful, more radiant. Beauty looked around for a moment, then turned back to the Beast. But the Beast was gone. In his place stood a young and handsome prince. "I want the Beast," Beauty began to cry. The prince stood up at this moment. "I am the Beast," he said. "An evil fairy had cast a spell on me. She had turned me into a hideous creature. If you hadn't told me that you wanted to marry me, I would have remained like that for the rest of my life." The prince took Beauty to the castle. There, Beauty met her father and the good fairy she had seen in her dream. "You have been rewarded for your courage," said the good fairy to Beauty. The fairy waved her magic wand. Suddenly, everyone in the castle found themselves in the prince's lands. There, the people greeted the prince with joy and applause. Before long, Beauty and the Beast were married. They became the happiest prince and princess the world had ever seen.